Let us make man. Yes. Sees God putting his hands in the soil. Hey, when I mentioned in one of Manuel's conversations, I said, the land is God's wife. People got offended. Hey, that is a real. Wait, the water, the air, and the land. That is God the Father, God the Son, and God the Mother. And then you get to Psalm 82, knowing not that you are gods. But because you don't know this, you're going to die like common men. Ever.
A timely voice. AdventPodSA presents the greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name.
Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right to the heavens, boy. The AdventPodSA.
Well, you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is the AdventPodSA. It is a timely voice, and today it is with great privilege and honor that I present to you a man whom I believe epitomizes living instead of existing. In fact, he epitomizes a human being. For he is in the perpetual process of becoming. It's not a destination. It's all about the direction you are heading to. I refer to him as the Paul of our days, who is, he becomes to every man whatever they need him to be, contextualizing himself to the needs of the people. It is with great privilege that I present to you the Bishop, the Elder, Mr. Joshua Maponga, Vuzijena, Chigaramboko. That's the Elder himself, Elder J. Thank you so much, my Elder, for joining us. It feels so surreal. We thank you so much for the opportunity. Wonderful. So now we will be discussing important matters in the context of domination. Instead of being dominated, especially from knowing who we are as believers, right? Genesis 1 verse 26. The Bible then says, and God said, let us make man. And the whole purpose of creating man is for them to subdue. In fact, I have a school of thought, my elder, that says the reason why divinity stopped creating on the sixth day is because humanity was now in existence. So the reason why the great I am stopped creating is because now they were human beings. So the creation process did not come to an end, but it was handed over to us. I don't know what's with you on that in the context of us as Christians dominating.
Well, thank you very much for giving me space in your words of thinking, with the hope that we will influence and impact progressive conversations to create a new generation of Christians who have escaped from the snares of colonial suppression and mental deprivation, which has resulted in docility in Christianity and yes-past mentality, which still keeps the Americans and the Europeans white male sexist. It's the only propagators of theology. The Africans being consumers of that theology itself, which makes us second-class citizens in this world and the world to come. The first question and comment that you have raised of let us make man, I would not even rush to go into the dominance and dominion part.
All right.
Before we, in context, discuss the let us make man.
Let us make man. All right.
It is given in the imperative. It is given in the positive. It is given as an instruction. In fact, in my theology, that is the first commandment in the whole Bible.
Okay. So wait, let us make man is the first commandment in the Bible. Can you explain, my elder?
Let us
make, because it's an imperative.
Yes, all right. Let us make. The other was let there be light. Let there be God doing it. But the first time it becomes inclusive. between the creator and creation. And then instruction of it is let us make man. So one might want to look at it from 2, 3, 4 angles. All right. The first angle, who is he talking to? And the traditional thing will say he's talking to the Godhead. But that's interpretation. All right. I can only speak as a theologian, circumcised king, where this is on the 6th day. He's not talking from a vacuum. He has done light. He has separated the waters. He has done trees. He has done birds. He has done fish. He has done everything. Yeah. By the time he speaks, without you being theological, to want to run and bring 1 John 1, verse 1, and John 1, in the beginning of the word, and you begin to do the theological gymnastics.
Consider it in context.
If John was not there, and all we heard was Genesis 1, by the time we get to verse 26, we want to look at the context of what was available when he says, let us make man.
So, is it the collaboration of creator and the creation now?
Yes. In the absence of man.
Hey, all right.
He's being invited into a space of creative divinity. And the divinity is in conversation with the elements that are now available. So the first thing you find right there is actually, how does a man become in maximizing the readily available resources that Eden and God have supplied prior to the arrival of Adam and Eve? So this is a creative conversation. Yes. So right from the onset, man needs to know how to work with light. First one. All right. Man needs to know how to separate his waters, create dry ground, separating friends, creating spaces of function. Man needs to know what to put on the land and what to put into the water. Right? Man needs to know how to look after vegetation and crops. Man needs to know how to look after whales. Verse 16 and 17, when God created the whales, and if you must own the whales or farm the whales, you must own the seas. So you begin to understand that the space in which man is being put is being put in an estate of perpetual opportunities of divine supplies. So let us make man, for me, number one. It is a creative speech of a man's ability maximizing on the creation that has been made available to him. Number two, let us make man.
Well, can I just say, you mentioned the way you are articulating it, right? The environment of Eden, it seemed as if the intended intention of divinity was to ensure that humanity functions in abundance and not in deprivation.
And even in that evening and morning, first day, evening and morning, second day. So you need to read all those evenings and mornings to come up with a let us make man. Then you need to make conclusions as to what happens in the evenings and morning prior, and how do those evenings and morning speak to let us make man. Interpretation number 2.
All right, yes, sir.
Let us make man is an instruction which is given to the subject to which man will be instructed from.
Can you please repeat that, Mother?
Let us make man is a conversation between the creator and the substance or the subject from which man will be extracted from. So let us make man is a complex concept, because let us make man would have meant God must pull down his beard, pull down his ears, pull down his teeth, and form a man that looks like him. But alas, let us make man sees God putting his hands in the soil.
Oh, the subject, the creation. Hey.
When I mentioned in one of Manuel's conversations, I said, the land is God's wife, people got offended. But I was mentioning it in the context that the womb in which the biblical, Hebraic, and Abrahamic faith teach the creation of man coming out of land and coming out of soil, then where God puts his hands becomes the womb through which the man is extracted from. So the land up to today, that's why it is called hair. That's why the land is feminine.
So God, well, I know this means run for a bit. So in other words, divinity had intimacy with the land.
Unfortunately, we'll be discussing it from a very relational space of our modality. But in the depth of thought, what you have said is actually true. Because the intimacy is knowing, and Adam knew his wife. As of knowledge, not as of collecting information, but as of actually intimately going into his wife. That is knowing in the Bible. Agno, I know someone. You say I know someone, and he knew his wife. It means that you did intercourse. So when you say, let us make man, and divinity takes its hands, takes itself into the soil, and pulls out.
Divinity knew the land.
Pulls out of the soil.
Yes.
Shapes the soil. I know how to do clotter. A bit of saliva, a bit of water. The soil by itself is dry and brick. It's actually pottery. Jeremiah is the only passage that can tell you when he kissed the mortar, they destroyed. We don't even know how many times the old man had to crush it until he landed. And then he did this into that. And then man becomes man. Therefore, there is something in Genesis 1:26 which we have not interpreted. Let us make man. The fact that God touches the soil, therefore there is something in the soil that is in God. There is something in the water that is in God. And there is something in the air that is in God. And when these three elements are put together to make the being, the human being, in the likeness and the image of God, by substance and by function and by intention, without necessarily God cutting himself by complexion to look like what he had created, but his intentions of making himself needed these elements to put there a man that looked like him in his own image.
And I hear you.
Right?
And have to pardon me, my mental faculties are still I'm still comprehending, contemplating.
I hope I didn't bend
No. No, Ella, no. I'm still getting there. I'm thinking it. So I see there seems to be significance between divinity and the land. And now since we are
speak it nicely. Land is divine.
Land is divine.
Water
is divine. The air is divine. So now, if God has so much of a relationship of intensity with the land, with the air, with the water, what's the significance of water, of land, and of the air in terms of us as human beings?
These are the very substances which men and women come from. As such, they're going to eat from them. As such, they're going to drink from them. As such, they're going to breathe from them. So that which is around you, underneath you, is in you. So you and the land are one. You and water, 70% of your body, are one. And then we stop you breathing for a minute and you're done. So there's a symbiosis of the what am I going to even term on your show without offending people in the first Trinity.
Hey,
that is the real
the water, the air, and the land.
That is God the Father, God the Son, and God the Mother.
Hey! Hey. Yo. Yeah.
So we cannot have a masculine space and obstruct a feminine space,
which is responsible for reproduction.
When in fact it is within the feminine space that regeneration and creation. So you can only understand Genesis 1 verse 26 after you've understood the birth of Christ. They're looking for Mary, and a young girl is found, and she is told, "You want to plant the seed in you. Now take Mary and put her here, and take the land and put it here, and bring those two passages together. You begin to understand what I call incarnation theology, where that which is outside of us becomes one with us, to become like us."
Hey, lady. All right, I'm taking that information overload right there. I hear you, my elder. But now, to the conventional interpretation of the text of let us make man in our image. I have a view. I believe that humanity is a physical extension of divinity, right? Therefore, what we do ought to be a reflection of divinity. Now, my question is, if we are created in his image, how are we called to function and live?
The Hellenistic thinking, which is Greek, which influences our English and Latin, on the basis of which our education is founded, believes that you must separate things in order to understand them. The Hebraic concept says you must bring them together so that you understand them.
Right, the Greek says separate.
Separated. So you have the physical, the mental, the what. So we always learn all these things like the person is a subdivision of many things. When you come to the Hebrew space, we actually put it together so that we understand it. So even to argue that humanity and divinity are in separation is not according to Genesis 1 verse 26. Because the text says, let us make that which looks like us. And then the Messiah confirms and says, I and my Father are one.
If you see me,
I'm in him. And I am in him, you are in me in him, you in me.
So we are included in the whole.
So when you talk about humanity, you can't talk about humanity. It's separation with his divinity. And you cannot talk about divinity.
With his divinity.
You cannot talk about divinity in separation with humanity. They are all inclusive. Because if man is a subject of existence because of divine cause, with similarity of being in our image, in our likeness, then how do we theologize in exclusion? And then you get to Psalm 82, knowing not that you are God. But because you don't know this, you're going to die like common men.
Elder, then let's do this for the sensitive view, all right? Know ye not that you are God. But they will think that you are contesting now the greater, and that's what they will think. What's the definition of a God?
The problem is you did too much primary and crash where you are competing.
Okay.
Sometimes there's no
competing. Compliment. You're complimenting.
There's no competition between water and air and soil. There is symbiosis.
All right.
There's no competition intrinsically between male and female. These are two opposite sex. But in unity, they produce something that looks like them without necessarily a man trying to be a woman or a woman trying to be a man. They're created intrinsically different, but the same in terms of function.
So there's no competition.
There's no competition between man and God. And people have heard some people, young theologians, unfortunately, in the mornings of their theology. God does not share his glory with another. Glory belongs to God only. And I listen, and I giggle and laugh. Because Moses went up the mountain. He spent a few days.
Hey, when he came there.
He had to put a cloth on his face.
Why?
Because he was shining with a glory. So why are we scared? That's what by beholding. We are changed to become like that which we desire.
Wait, so we as human beings, we are capacitated to be carriers of divine love.
We are the very express image of the Father. He who has seen me has seen the Father. The Father is in me, I am in him. I and my Father are one. I was, I am, and I shall be. That's
that's identity.
Let us make man. It's a commandment which is given to the church. Only business we must do is to make man.
What is a man, my elder?
Come on. Only commandment we have that is given to the government is to make man. The only commandment given to women is to make man. All institutions must work to fulfill this commandment, unless you want to write your own feminist Bible. But according to the Bible, imagine man is created strong. But the first instruction addresses his vulnerability. Let us make it.
Yo,
let's not
Let's construct.
When one man is well made,
Okay.
how many women are safe? When one man is made, how much of the community is safe? How much of the government is safe? All the problems we are facing on the face of the earth, we have ignored the solemn business of Genesis 1:26. Let us.
So wait, the reason society today is malfunctioning is because
Genesis 1:26.
we have, instead of making the man, we are breaking him. Instead of forming the man, he's deformed.
You can go and preach your next sermon.
Hey, hallelujah.
We're educating them. We are giving them careers. We are. You see, there's a difference between training, educating, employing, donating, and making. Making a man is an intrinsic, internal function where a man is molded from conception, from an idea to the soil, to the shaping, to the standing, to the garden he is given, to the woman he is given, to the dominion he is given. This is a whole process which the society has ignored. And we think that by sending a man to school, you're going for circumcision, we're taking the man to Pathfinder, we're going to salute, yes sir, we've made a man. But look under the similitude of the original maker. When he says, let us make man, what did he do? He knelt down. He went down. Rolled his sleeves and went to an active business of formulation until he gives the estate, Eden. Until he gives him a wife, Eve. And then he shows in the entire world and says, to me, over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, animal fruit. Now you inside you, be fruitful, be full of fruits. And then multiply it. Then extend, and then have dominion. You need to also look at the 4 steps that are given. One, let him have dominion over, and then let him be fruitful. Let him multiply. Let him increase, fill up the earth, and then you'll have dominion. So you cannot have dominion when you have one outlet for the shop. You need to have the idea first. Be fruitful. Have your fruit. When you find a fruit, then plant it. When you harvest it, take what you've harvested, plant it again. When you harvest it, then plant it again. So you begin to see a business growth right there. From an idea to a franchise, to a shop, to a division, to value chains, to manufacturing, distribution, and etc., to dominion, like Coca-Cola, for example, where every place on the face of the earth, wherever the civilization must be bought, that says Coca-Cola, McDonald's, for example, where you begin to have dominion, because now you've expanded your
through the process.
So we cannot even talk dominion until we understand the value of Eden, which is the land. We cannot talk expansion until you understand the value of Eden, which is marital issues. We cannot talk the issue of expansion until you understand the value of God, the one who says, let us do this business. So ultimately, we cannot understand the value of expansion until you understand creation day number 1 to creation day number 6. That's context. That's context. So if you want to extrapolate and work on what are the elements that join and fit into the making of man, there is a divine space of creation. There is an anthropological, anatomical making of man that speaks to diet and food and health foods and etc. There is also a matrimonial issue here of making of man and etc. that fits into the space. And of course, there is a jurisdiction, space for function. That's why I always say without Eve, it's illegal to get married.
Yes, sir. No, I know what you want to say, please. Without Eden. Right? So it's illegal, yes. And based on that, I heard you say something, right? That Adam has no business to do with Eve if there's no Eden.
It doesn't. Those are the 2 wives. Those are the 2 wives Adam had. And the first one, he got pregnant. He's the land. The naming of animals, the planting and the working and the exhaustion. until the old man looks at him and says, man, it's not good that you can just be alone. Let me now sort you out a help. So if a man does not have an estate, he will become the estate himself. Then the wife will harass you forever. So without an estate, and women out there, don't be gold diggers, estate diggers.
Sure.
Marry the land, marry the estate. Don't marry the man. If the man wants to get you pregnant, he must get you pregnant on his land. Then your children will inherit the seed where the man is standing.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think you guys comprehend the information overload that I'm having here. And I think I don't know where you obtain the knowledge from, but I'm still yet to absorb this, right? Now, as we conclude here,
You're going to edit and take your time.
yeah, I'll take my time to get it into, is it mine?
Yeah.
Hardware, software?
So,
Software, my software. So you want to be
and then
a
the
master.
hardware will behave nicely.
Can you talk about that? Eh? You did say when
Maybe let's do a program
On that.
where you collect all these codes. And
Yes.
then we can actually have a
Please,
nice...
can you do that?
Or on a lighter note.
Yes, can you do that?
Yeah, okay.
You take a collection of the elder from his time, the codes, those controversial codes you can say and so forth, and
345, 345.
345.
Go through them.
We'll run it.
And see how.
So elder, now we want to go into the world and to function on the basis of who we are, identity. How do I then go into the world? Not to be trampled upon, but to be in charge. How do I tap into the space of dominion? That space, I think you mentioned that very important part, that there needs to be a process as we go. There needs to be character before dominion. There needs to be capacitation before occupation. So how do I then tap into that space and dominate and live in light of being a god?
Lions never sit around to discuss the problems of sheep or listen to the complaints of the gazelle. Because by nature, they eat meat. This is their space. Eagles can grow up with chickens until they outgrow the chicken run and discover that this is diet. Instrumental conditioning, which is a psychological scientific process of dehumanizing another person, taking away their identity, and redefining them according to what makes it evil is that the one who is doing it knows the intention, but the one who receives it is totally ignorant of the end result. It ends up actually being evil to the highest order. That you can put religion, you can put politics, you can put medicine. COVID actually showed us flames, where the whole world was almost brainwashed. Only a few of us remained on the side saying, hey,
What's happening here?
There's never a time when we have had to give our consciences and
But be so afraid.
to a group of people to decide what must happen. So when you begin to talk about dominion, it boils down on the big, small word: identity, knowledge of self, knowledge of the DNA. Why is it that we have now been reduced to an ID number instead of being addressed as Wozwi, as Wo Mamala, as Wo Mkanya, as Wo Garambo, as Wo Fitzichin, as Wo Cox, as Wo Mkamamaki? And when you begin to tap into those
spaces,
you begin to hear that actually you're not dealing with ID number 6905053228.
objectivity.
You're dealing with the prince, dealing with the king. And when you get to that level, then the issue of where is the territory? Where is the land? Where is jurisdiction? So identity is trampled upon when pieces of paper called certificates are given preeminence. Dr. so-and-so, Mr. so-and-so. And then we lose sense of the real value of who the African child must be. It is a constant, consistent, deliberate intention of the academic, religious, political fraternities to desensitize and dehumanize the African of his her true identity. Because the system will not be able to deal with the Africans. Who knows who he is? Because for the first time I discover who I am, and that another white man is sitting on my grandfather's farm. Hell no. Hell no, what that's where. The day I wake up and I discover as to who exactly I am, where the ego will rip up the whole chicken run to pieces. The day an African wakes up to discover who they are. So the system is a pacifier. Health is a pacifier. Medicines are pacifiers. All these fluorides we eat in our mouths actually put some layers on our heads to reduce the capacity of thinking. Entertainment is a pacifier. Keep them watching soccer. Liquor and alcohol is a pacifier. Keep them drunk. Give them more liquor. There are more alcohol outlets in South Africa than we have clinics and hospitals. Why? Because it's easier to manage a drunk nation than sober-minded, cognitive people. Want to speak about identity? Know who you are. And the things that you are looking for are all trapped in the DNA of who you are. And when you tap into that, nothing can stand on your way. It's too late now. No one can make me a slave ever again. Be white, be black, be a millionaire, be a billionaire, carry a gun. It's no longer a threat. Because I've come face to face with Maponga.
Sure. I know. I think that's the farmers of thought, the right there epitomized, eh? My elder, thank you so much for your time. I'm humbled.
Let's do it again.
Yes, my elder, what I'm going to propose to you.
Yeah.
I think most people are interested in what you possess than who you are. So I propose to you that at some point we meet and we cover the journey of the elder Joshua Maponga all the way from where you come from to how, you know what's the reason why most people misunderstand you? Because we don't understand what you had to, fill up your mind with, your experiences. We only see the product, not the process. That's why you misunderstood.
That many times actually they have a problem with themselves. Not me. They only get frustrated when they say, but how can he be so free? You must. You can't.
So I do say that we are interested in covering your journey from who you are, what you were, and where you are now. And thank you so much. We are humbled. We do appreciate you in our generation. You have changed our lives. You have impacted us.
And also, what would be nice also is to maybe run out before you can even come. Is to run around the community amongst young people.
Okay.
Even young pastors, even your middle-aged pastors, even your presidents, etc., who were my classmates at school, and just do an interview and collect as much data as you can, so that by the time at least you bring me to a conversation, you would have a backdrop of how I have interacted. You would want to meet up with Pastor Wenya, how was I in school?
From South?
Yes, from Mongwe, we were together in class, from Baza, we were together in school, Joshua Maponga, we were together in school.
So we can get that information.
Akombo, we marched together in division president in the same class. The list is endless. Go to church, I was delivering letters for Mongo when he was still going out for his wife.
My pastor.
My great church. But anyway, it would be nice at least to have a holistic care.
My elder, on a lighter note, they say, I am not the man. I think that's the best sermon of the century. We agree with that. That's the best. You must go watch it, my elder. Just go. In terms of hermeneutics, that was the best sermon.
Wow.
Just take us through just a little bit. How did you plan that? What was happening there?
The theme offended me.
Okay.
Because their theme was saying there is a man. And I felt like the whole week people were trying to do a motivation that you must be the man. You must be the man. So get educated. But toward the midweek, then my spirit took a U-turn. That actually, you are not the man.
Hey.
The show is not about you.
Sure.
So and then
subject and object. I remember your introduction there.
Yeah. So I literally had to take a 360 on the thing. And I wrote it down actually, about 18, 19 pages that I had there. and I don't know, someone should rape my
But
dad.
how did you, especially, you know what touches my soul? I listen to it every day on a Sabbath morning. Especially when you say you went to Bulawayo, you went to Harare, you went to Johannesburg, you went to UK, you went to USA.
It's a journey. It's a journey. And I think on that script, what the Lord blessed me with was to be able to address 2 to 3 levels of information without necessarily becoming specific. By that I mean to say, I was relating my own personal story on one end, literally sharing my frustration with the system. Am I going to be a priest? Am I going to be a prophet? Am I going to be what? I'm talking about myself. That I don't have to be a friend of this. But the message that the Lord has given me makes me an enemy of all of you. It was my personal story. So if you could sit and listen to that script, you'll be able to hear how I've related to the system. And while I'm doing that, I was also able to relate the church as a system, how it is related with God as a subject matter, and how we have actually invested in wrong things, wrong paths, wrong messiahs, wrong whatever, right up to the end. And ultimately, to be able to collect all those elements and look at the eschatological drive of the passage, the moral lessons that are built upon that passage. So it was almost like three layers of information that I was delivering at the same time. But God bless me, and He fused the 3 without me classifying and running into each one of them. It would have been actually someone would have taken us almost like 3 hours to say, okay, script number 1, the script number 2. But in the abundance of mercy, the door just cooked together nicely, and I'm glad some people were blessed.
Thank you, my elder. All the best.
That's the sermon behind the sermon.
The sermon? Oh yeah, behind the sermon. Yes, sir. Well, thank you once more. It's humbling. I'm very humbled, and thank you so much for allowing Divinity to use you to be a blessing to humanity.
Wonderful.
That is it. That's Mr. the Elder Joshua Marara Vozijena Chigaramboko Maponga.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.